Hi everybody, this is Sala and you guys are learning C Sharp step by step in this course. In the last couple of lectures, we have been talking about operators, arithmetic assignment operators and increment decrement operators. Let's move on. This is our lecture number 17 and I must say, wow, we have done so many lectures and there are many lectures to come. You remember in the introduction of this course, I showed you all the topics we would cover and then I gave you an estimation. I said we need at least 60 lectures to cover all those topics. So there are many lectures to come after this lecture. Okay, now from this lecture, things gonna be very interesting because we are going to learn something which is mandatory to write logical and real applications. We are going to learn relational or comparison operators, and this is the beginning of writing logical applications. Relational operators together with logical operators and if statements let a program make decisions. And when a program starts making decisions, that simply means there is some logic in the background. In this lecture, we will try to understand the relational operators. In the next lecture, we will discuss logical operators. And in the lecture after that, we will learn to code if statements. These three lectures, this one, which is lecture number 17, and the coming two lectures, lecture number 18 and 19, are most important lectures of this course. These three lectures are related to each other, so don't miss them. Now, coming back to the topic, relational operators. What do they do? Relational operators are used to relate two values, like numbers or to string values. And after relating the values, they return a result which is then used in decision making. And that's why they're called relational operators because they relate values. They're also called comparison operators because they compare two values. In C Sharp or any other language, we have 6 different types of relational operators. We see all of them on the screen. We have equal to, we have not equal to, we have less than, we have greater than, we have less than or equal to, and we have greater than or equal to. They have their own signs. Equal to has two equal signs. Not equal to has exclamation and equal sign. Less than, greater than has their own signs. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to has their own signs, right? So these are 6 relational operators, and when we code them, we use their signs. Now, all the relational operators have 2 things in common. Number 1, they take 2 operands. Number 2, they return boolean result. And you know what boolean is, right? We have already talked about boolean data type in the beginning of this course, right? So the return value is a boolean value, true or false. So all of them take 2 operands, compare them, and return a result in boolean, true or false. That's it. Now we are going to investigate these operators one by one. In the beginning, we need 2 variables so that we can have comparison. So we have 2 variables, number 1 and number 2, and they are assigned same value. So let's start with the equal to. Equal to operator checks if both the operands are equal, exactly the same. So if I want to check number 1 and number 2 are equals or not, so I will write. So here I'm applying equal to operator on number 1 and number 2. Number 1 and number 2 are 2 operands, right? So equal to, going to perform a comparison. We check if both the operands are equal or not. If they are equal, the operator going to return true, otherwise false. Now we know the number 1 and the number 2 are equal, so the result should be true. So true, right? As expected. And if the operands are not equal, you will get false. Let's say the value number 2 is 20. Now the result should be false. Here you see the false in the output, right? So you can easily compare numbers to check if they are equals or not. But beside numbers, you can also compare string values. Let's say I have a string variable with some text, and I can write something like So here I'm investigating if the text in this variable is exactly the same to that one. And we know the text is same, so the result would be true. And so you see in the output, right? And if the values are not same, you will get false. For example, our text is in lowercase, and if I change only the one letter to uppercase, so now the output would be false because the lower and the uppercase letters are not same to the computer. They have different codes. And so you see the output is false. So using this string comparison, you can write so many programs, like if a name exists in a list, or if a user has provided the right username and the password. We are going to write such programs later on. Okay, so that was equal to relational operator. Let's now move on to the not equal to. Not equal to, we're going to check if the operands are not equals, right? So in this case, the result would be true because number 1 is not equal to number 2. Number 1 is 10 and number 2 is 20. They are not equal. So the result would be true. And on the other hand, if numbers are equal, the result would be false. So 10 is not equal to 10. It false logically. That was simple, right? And if I change the operand to string like this, hello is not equal to hello. It's not true, right? So we will get the false result. And when I write hello in uppercase, like this, the result would be true. Once again, uppercase and lowercase letters are not same. So this is not equal to operator. Let's now move on. The next operator is less than. Less than operator is going to investigate if its left hand operand is less than its right hand operand. And it returns true if the left hand operand is lesser. So if I code like number 1 is less than number 2, the output would be false because the left side value is not less than the value on the right side. We have 10 on both the sides, and 10 is not less than 10. That's why the result is 4. If I change the number 1's value to 7, now the result would be true because 7 is less than 10. And if I make number 2 less than number 1, the result will again be false, right? You can also compare floating point numbers, like if 6.1 is lesser than 7.9, for example. And the string values are not usually compared this way. We normally use equal to and not equal to on string values. So that was less than operator. The next one is greater than. Greater than is simply opposite to the less than, and it returns true if the left operand is greater than its right operand. So in our program, let me first apply greater than like this. Now the 6.1 is in greater than to 7.9. And if I change the value to 8.1, which is greater than to 7.1, the output would be true. And you can also compare variables. So number 1 is 7 and number 2 is 5. And 7 is greater than 5, so the output would be true. So that was greater than. Let's now move on to the next one. The next operator is less than or equal to. Did you notice I emphasized on or? Less than or equal to. So here we have two different conditions. If anyone is true, the answer is true. So let me first apply this operator to the numbers. The compiler is going to first investigate the less than. So is number 1 less than number 2? It isn't. Number 1 is 7 and number 2 is 5. And 7 is not less than 5. So the first check is false. Now a compiler will check for equal to. So is number 1 equal to number 2? This one is also false. So both the conditions are false, and that's why the final result is also false. Now if I modify number 1 and give it a value which is less than number 2, for example 4, now the result of this expression will be true. The number 1 is 4 and 4 is less than 5. So the first condition is true, and our compiler won't check the second one. And what will happen if both the variables have the same value? Let's say both have 5. The answer will be true because 5 is not less than 5. However, 5 is equal to 5. So the second condition becomes true, so we get the true in the result. So that was less than or equal to, and opposite to this one is the last one, greater than or equal to. So let me modify the sign like this. So now we are investigating for greater than or equal to. And if we process this equation, the output would be true, because 5 is not greater than 5, but 5 is equal to 5. And if I change number 2, give it a value like 10, now the output, the result, would be false, because 5 isn't greater than 10 and 5 is not equal to 10, right? Both the condition are false, and so the final result is also false. So my dear listeners, these were the 6 relational operators. Each of them take 2 operands, and the result is always a boolean value. So relational operators is a first step towards writing logical and real applications. In the next lecture, you'll learn logical operators. Logical operators go together with relational operators, and together we can create more advanced conditions and logic. So I will see you in the next lecture. Thanks for watching.